the President of Croatia.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, I thank the co-hosts for bringing us here today. Croatia wholeheartedly supports this initiative. I strongly believe that we must step up our efforts in Syria. We must be more determined, coordinated, and effective. We have already failed too many people. We're losing future generations of Syria. The level of human suffering is unimaginable and unacceptable. We must act now. Too much time has been lost. No finger pointing will alleviate our conscience. Only through decisive action, only through combined effort, will we be able to achieve results. For months, we have been focusing on the migrant crisis in Europe, which includes many refugees from Syria. However, we have been neglecting the most vulnerable, those not just dying of bullets, but of hunger and disease, those who have been left behind. The crisis in Syria, the largest humanitarian tragedy since the Second World War, is a brutal reminder that without addressing the root causes of conflict, the current model of providing humanitarian assistance will soon become difficult to manage and ultimately unsustainable. Violence must not be legitimized by any religion or any ideology. Extremism can only be fought by addressing all the elements of the conflict. The approach must be multidimensional or holistic and needs to combine security, political, military, economic, educational, cultural, and religious approaches. Back in the 90s, we were frustrated with frequent indecisiveness and the inability of the international community to stop the war in Croatia. We quickly learned the need for a coordinated international response that includes diplomacy, defense, and development assistance. Today, Croatia is in financial terms a relatively small donor, but we're contributing in accordance with our means. Croatia has fulfilled 144% of the Kuwait I and 99.5% of the Kuwait II original pledge, amounting to $800,000. In addition, up to date, Croatia has also invested $8 million into taking care of the refugees and migrants transiting through our country. Our civil organizations have also developed humanitarian aid directly to Syria, overcoming numerous bureaucratic and other obstacles in very difficult security circumstances, reflecting the human courage and solidarity of the Croatian people. We're willing to provide further assistance in civilian protection and stabilization efforts that are so needed inside Syria. For the period 2016 to 2020, Croatia will pledge €1 million. We believe that humanitarian aid has to be logically liaised with long-term development cooperation. Our focus will be on programs for the protection and education of children, as well as protection of women, religious minorities, and the prevention of sexual violence. This is crucial to avoiding creating fertile ground for further replication of vindictive violence. Every child has the right to education. We want to do our share to protect children and to create a safe learning environment which will bring the 2 million children currently out of school back to school. Education is the strongest weapon against extremism of any kind. A clear vision of the future of Syria has to be the basis for a further discussion and planning. Syria's future will depend on adopting values of humanism, pluralism, freedom, and peace. In this regard, we hope that the political process following the UN Security Council Resolution 2254 will enable a successful closure to the Syrian crisis and finally end this tragic conflict that has been devastating this country and people for 5 years already. Let us not be ashamed to respond when our children ask, "What have you done to stop the war in Syria?" Thank you.